So most of you guys know me, but the people who know me well enough know that I have a disability. Something you can't see because it's not a wheelchair. It's, I have face blindness. So people say, what's face blindness? It's a very long scientific name that I can never repeat. It starts with a P, whatever. Face blindness means I don't recognize you if I haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. And it's pretty bad. Sometimes I'm worried I won't recognize my own family depending on the situation. And the first time I realized I had this, I was a young elementary school student having a sleepover at a friend's house, and I was laying there at night thinking to myself, what does my mom look like? How can I can't picture my mom. So I didn't know what it was until I read this scientific magazine called People. And then I self-diagnosed. I don't need a doctor to tell me, oh my God, thank God it has a name, because I just thought I was stupid. So here's the deal. That's not my story. So because I have face blindness, I'm doing something constantly. I'm constantly scanning your face for some recognition, some semblance of communication that says, I will tell you right now, I know when I see you if you recognize me. Pretty quick. And I have mastered the, hey! How you doing? All right, I got that great. All right, so here, after a while, here's something that happens to you. Because I'm constantly standing there trying to scan your face for meaning, I've gotten to a point where I can tell what a lot of people are thinking. There's a book that came out called Blink, and there's these fleeting expressions that happen just in a blink. And because I'm staring at you, trying to figure out if I know you, I catch most of those signals. So this would lead you to believe that I would be good at it. So sometimes I am, sometimes I'm very good at it. And you get to be where you rely on it like some kind of superpower. So with every superpower comes a kryptonite, right? What do they say about love? Love is blind. Well, I'm already face blind. If I am so worked up in the chemical reaction that two people have with one another that I can't read the signals that I can see plainly on your face, well, I'm extra blind. So that is the start of my failure. I relied on my superpower and I encountered kryptonite. So I fell in love quickly with someone who didn't deserve it. None of you guys have had that experience, right? So this guy, he was an abuser. I didn't recognize that because I am blind to that. He was an abuser. So here's the deal. Abusers have got cycles of behavior. And I didn't know anything about abuse because I did not grow up with abuse. I had a great dad, I had a great mom, you know. They loved me, that's all good. So I didn't recognize any of the signs. And with abusers, they want to marry you quickly before you figure them out. They target people who are nice. I'm nice, right? You know me, right? I'm nice. Okay, so he meets me at church, so I'm nice and I know the rules of the church, who's the boss, right? It's all good, I'm good with that. So we have this whirlwind romance, he does grandiose things, you know, I say I like Billy Joel, yeah, that's a guy who used to sing in the 90s. So, and then I would come out to my car and on my windshield would be 2 tickets, like 3rd row to the next concert, like what? What? Completely charmed. Swept me off my feet. So I quickly married this person who I think I know, and then quickly find out that I don't know him. So in the beginning of our marriage, you know, with abusers, they don't do it all at once. See, I already told you that I didn't grow up with abuse, so you think I would recognize it immediately, right? Immediately. But you don't, because they don't just start smacking you around, because who would stay? It's a slow, steady progress to wear you down so that you don't know what's about to happen. So it starts out kind of like this. In my experience, this was my experience. He would say to me, oh my gosh, I just love it when you're home when I get home. Oh, don't you love being there? I just love it when you're home when I get home. Like, oh, isn't that sweet? So a few weeks later, you know, our work is busy, well, things are happening. I'm a full-time employee, and I get home and it's like, you know, I like it when you're home when I get home. Yeah? Okay. So then, give it a little bit more time, and if that hasn't kept you in the box, then they start to do things like this, and this is a true experience for me. I came home from grocery shopping on a Saturday, and I arrived home about 3 minutes after this man. And when I got home, he had bought me flowers. He threw the flowers at me, stormed out of the house, and spent the entire day throwing things down, walking around, slamming doors, wouldn't speak to me at all. Spent the whole day like that. I came in 3 minutes later with the food you're going to eat for dinner. I wasn't out at the bars, hanging with my friends, tossing them back. I went to the grocery store. All right, okay. I was idealistic. I thought, I'm going to be a good wife. I'm going to please this person. Clearly, I'm doing something wrong. I'm going to work a little harder. So I was always working to fix it. I'll be there. Oh, I got to go. Right? You start working into this frenzy, and the box that you're living in gets smaller and smaller and smaller. In a bizarre way. And you're realizing it's kind of getting tight in here. And I started thinking to myself, is this me? Is this him? Is this me? Right? So it continues. It continues as I tried to be a perfect wife. You know, like nobody's perfect, but you try, you know, you're trying to be the perfect wife. And he's learned, and he's teaching me, that he cannot be pleased. Because if he cannot be pleased, then you'll keep working. You'll keep trying. You'll work harder. You'll be better. You'll do more. Right? It's a weird, twisted thing that people learn. I don't know how a person learns how to do that. I can recognize it now pretty quickly on the outside, but when I was inside, I didn't see that really so much. I was just working hard. So, okay. With abuse, there's another kind of cycle. So it starts off, he's going to control you with those words. First, they're kind words, like I explained, and then it gets meaner and nastier. And then it gets to the point where he's screaming at you or creating some kind of havoc. And as long as you're working hard and trying to live in the box, but the box keeps getting smaller. It keeps pulling it away. I don't want you to be on the phone. You're always on the phone with your mom. Well, you're on the phone with your mom. Pretty soon, you don't even have a support system. I knew I would forget my words because you just get all wrapped up. So when the words stop controlling, then they move on to the next thing. They move on to things, or in my experience. So my aunt, for Christmas one year, bought me this beautiful floral arrangement, you know, silk flowers, for my table. And it was really pretty. I mean, it was something I couldn't normally afford at this time in my life. And I loved it. So my husband figured out pretty quickly, she likes that thing. So when the words wouldn't control, he started to focus on that flower arrangement because he knew I loved it. So the first time he just knocks it off the table, and then the next time he tosses it off the table, and the next time he's whipping it across the room. It got to a point, because it was always that thing, because I like that the most, like after one of these, like I just picked it up, like tore it apart, like threw it in the trash, because then he couldn't use it on me anymore. It was off the freaking table. Okay? So then time will go on, and you think, is it me? Is it him? And I think, this is not how I grew up. I really couldn't tell who it was. Because an abuser will constantly brainwash you into believing things. So my ex-husband, says to me, so my ex-husband used to say to me all the time, over and over and over, you are fat, stupid, and ugly. Fat, stupid, and ugly, fat, stupid, and ugly. I can tell you, I heard that more times than I can count. And so I'm a woman, and I believe fat and ugly. 100%, obviously. Okay? 100%. I am not stupid. I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid. Clearly I am. Right? All right. So, if I stepped out of line, he'd step it up. My box is very small now. I rarely see my family. I don't take telephone calls. I have to get home right after work because at this point, the mobile phone was invented. Most of you guys are happy about that. The mobile phone, he actually had a car phone, that's what we used to call them, anchored into my car. And he would call me to ask me where I was and what I was doing. So he had a constant stinking thumb on my head at all times. And my box was very small. And then it gets to the point where words and things don't keep you in line. Because how can you stay in a box so very small? So then he hits you. So I can remember the very first time I got smacked by this guy. We're walking in my small house down the hallway. He walks by me and he pops me one in the shoulder. Now this did not hurt, but I knew exactly that this was like a little brother who didn't like that you were playing with the toy he wanted. And he smacks you because he means it, whether it hurts or not. And I recognized immediately what that was. And I even said the words, listen, you stop hitting me, I'm out of here. Like I would say those words, if you start hitting me, I'm out of here. Because he had just hit me. No, that's not the first time he hit me. You know, the second time, that was just a pop in the hallway. The next time he hit me, he didn't like what I said. And he jumped off the couch, lunged at me, and he punched me full force in the shin. Okay? I had the biggest, nastiest bruise. A grown man full force punches you into the shin, right into the bone. I cannot tell you how many people ask me, how did you get that bruise? And wait for it. I actually told his mother and his sister. I just told him. He hit me. So, hitting escalates quickly. It gets worse. You know, it gets to the point where he's kind of tossing me around, and it takes a couple of days just to, you know, get yourself back together. And I'm still thinking to myself, is this me? Is this him? Is this me? This is crazy. I did not grow up with abuse. I should have recognized this immediately. But you don't. You say to yourself right now, how many of you have heard about these stories on television and you say to yourself, why would they stay? Why would they stay? Like, are they stupid? Yes. I accept it in that context. Why would they stay? And I will tell you why they stay, because the abusers have another cycle of behaviors. And it's this. So they've done something really terrible, horrible, no good, very bad to you. And you say, I'm leaving. I'm divorcing you. And then they are completely repentant. I'm so sorry. I just can't even believe, you know, you just did that stuff, and I couldn't help it because you did that stuff. See? The brainwashing. And then they beg and they cry and they buy you flowers, they buy you gifts, and they keep begging you to come back, and I would never hurt you, until you think, okay, he gets it. He gets it. He's never going to do that again. And then you go through the cycle again. And he starts to control you until you fall out of that line. The line that's really a tiny little box now, the size of a pea. So right now, I would think that you're thinking I've told you my failure. I married a complete idiot. I failed in my superpower. But that's not my failure. So in this relationship, you know, you guys all know me, I'm married to the perfect man right now. So we all know that I have somehow overcome this big failure. But the reality is, part of this failure, now I made these choices, I lived with the consequences, I did my best to deal with it, and I lived that. But my son, my oldest son, was born here and in this relationship, and he lived my choices too. So, you know, you guys all know me. I'm pretty outspoken. I am pretty assertive. I am no shrinking flower, right? My poor kid had one person to protect him because we had Satan in one corner and then me between the two. And although he wasn't beaten as a kid, like the abuse, the physical abuse was on me. The emotional abuse was totally on him too. And in those years that we are together, I didn't save him. I mean, I was saving myself. I was trying to save him. My ex-husband was like, you know, quit hugging him, quit hugging him. You're going to make him a sissy. You're going to make him, seriously? So I'd have to hug him when he wasn't around? Sick. I know that's sick, right? My oldest son continues to live with the consequences of my choices. He questions himself. He doesn't always have the confidence he should have when he has all sorts of success. And I know that the constant, you're worthless, you stop it, you're just a baby, knock it off, has been ingrained in his head. And as a mom, a failure like that, there's no fixing a failure like that. There's no turning back that page. There's nothing you can say about his self-worth and his wonderfulness that you can ever get it into his soul, because he grew up with abuse. And that's my fault.